This is a Getty podcast.
Don't walk, run to listen to this episode. This week, we're hearing from a lamp with an unusual shape. It's a pair of feet. Welcome to If Objects Could Talk, a podcast where art and artifacts get to leave the museum vault and tell their side of the story. Thanks for joining us as we bring objects into the light. Speaking of light, what do you do when it gets dark outside and you need to see inside? I bet you just flip a switch and presto, more light. But it's not just the overhead lights in your home that make things brighter. It's the glow of electronic devices. Flashlights powered by batteries, streetlights, car headlights, and the brilliant, bright lights of big city skyscrapers. We are rarely ever truly in the dark. In ancient Rome, things were very different. Apart from a big harvest moon and twinkling stars, the nights were very, very dark, and all you had were torches and oil lamps to help illuminate it. Today's feet-shaped lamp was made in Asia Minor in the 1st century CE. It's okay to laugh. He's really leaning in to being the clown of the museum vault.
Me. The people want to hear from me. Oh, don't mind me, just doing some vocal warm-ups, which is extra important for a pair of feet. You know, it was starting to seem like I wasn't going to get my turn to share my story, which would be a shame because I'm such a delight. Get it? Because I'm a lamp? Crack myself up. But not too much, though. I am made out of clay. Too much cracking would be a disaster. What was I talking about again? Oh, yeah. In ancient times, there was no electricity, so lamps like me were all the rage. Business owners used oil lamps to light their buildings and the nearby streets. Noblemen used lamps to light their paths when they were out after dark. Soldiers used them to light military forts. But enough about those ordinary lamps. Let's talk about how a star was made. Get it? Because I glow like a star? Whew, I am so good. Okay, picture it. I was nothing, just a ball of damp clay. But then I was pressed into a mold, and I took my shape, a pair of sandaled feet. I still have all 10 of my toes, even 2,000 years later, if you're curious. Then I was baked in a hot oven, and my soft surface became hard. I was ready for action. To use me, oil was poured into holes at the top of my feet, right where a pair of ankles would be. And the wick was placed into an opening where the big toes touch. The wick was usually a bundle of fibers like linen or papyrus twisted together. And the oil was usually a plant oil, like olive oil. Basically, anything you might put in a salad dressing today could get me going. A little flame would race down the wick and voila! Lights on, baby. A little bit more dramatic than just flipping a switch, don't you think? I'm pretty unique as far as lamps go. Some lamps were modeled after animals, people doing silly or serious people things, gods and goddesses, or even funny faces. There were lamps shaped like a foot, but a pair of feet in sandals like me? That's something to be admired. Ooh. And if I'm being honest, laughed at too. When my wick was lit, I looked like someone walking on hot coals. And you can't see it now, but I used to be glazed red, so I really used to glow. That glazing process helped me keep liquids like oil in. No leaking for me. Yeah, I was quite the wayfinder as well. I had a handle, so people could grab me and do things like make their way to the bathroom in the middle of the night. It was in those moments I was grateful I didn't have a nose.
You.
Sadly, my handle has since broken. I won't say who did it, but it was someone with 2 left feet and butter fingers. I was made in Asia Minor, which at the time was part of the Roman Empire. And that empire was huge. Huge, I tell you. At its height, around 100 CE, and when I was made, The Roman Empire stretched from Britain in the northwest to Egypt in the southeast. I came from somewhere in the middle. I was kept in a beautiful domus or house. It wasn't very large, but it was impeccably designed and decorated. The home had no outside-facing windows, as to not attract thieves. However, it did have a large atrium, or central indoor space that was open at the roof to let in light and air. My owner, Albus, was a freedman. He was once enslaved, but was granted his freedom and made a comfortable life for himself as a vendor of fine goods. He then later became a merchant, supplying goods for other vendors' stores. Albus was a modest man and tried not to call too much attention to himself, but every once in a while he loved to have long dinner parties with friends and business associates. Dinner parties were very popular in ancient Rome. They were held in the triclinium, which translates to three-couch room, because it had 3 couches arranged in a U shape. While eating, Romans reclined on these couches. They always dined barefoot, which was so strange to me. At least put some sandals on, you know? Anyway, in the hours that could pass during a dinner, the triclinium could go from full daylight to complete darkness. So, for the latter part of the meal, lamps lit the space, casting a soft glow on faces and creating short paths to the food and drinks. I was kept going and glowing on a lampstand until the last guest cleared the threshold. During one particular dinner party, the guests were so loud that they woke Albus's 7-year-old son Rufus. Little Rufus fumbled in the dark house in search of his father. He used the sound of laughter and the faint light to find his way to the triclinium. When Rufus saw his father reclining, he approached him boldly and told him he could not sleep with all of the noise he and his guests were making. His father and guests laughed at his fearlessness, a fine example of a free man. Albus told Rufus that if he could not sleep, he should play. Albus used my light to make shadow puppets on the wall to the delight of his son and his guests. Yeah, have you ever done that? Used your hands to make shadow puppets on the wall? It's very easy. All you need are your hands, a wall, and a light. Not me, though. I am retired. A small bedside lamp or flashlight work great. No oil needed. Put one hand between the light and the wall so that you can clearly see the shadow of your hand. Now, go ahead and give yourself a wave. By changing the shape of your hand, you can make animals, birds, and other characters come to life. How would you make a bunny, a bird, a dog? Now here comes a real challenge. What about making puppets with your feet? I bet if you put your heels together and stuck your feet out, you could make a smelly butterfly. Albus was incredible at making shadow puppets. Just one bright idea after another. First, he made a soaring eagle. Then an angry toad. And then a mischievous hare hopping along the walls. The shadow puppets that Albus created and his accompanying noises made them come alive and delighted his guests. All that playing made the dark evening seem brighter. Pretty soon, all the guests were trying their hand, literally, at making shadow puppets and creating stories for one another. It was the longest dinner party Albus ever had. But it didn't matter. The night was brilliant, made even more perfect with his son by his side. After all, Rufus was the light of his father's life. Get it? Light of his life? I got a million of them. I'll share more next time.
I hope you enjoyed learning about Roman homes and lamps. Join us next time when a very fancy cat slinks into the studio. To see photographs of the feet lamp and learn more, visit our website at getty.edu/podcasts. This episode was written by Tokara Elise and produced by Zoe Goldman. Todd Schick voiced the lamp. Theme music, mixing, and sound design by Alexandra Kalinowski. Christopher Sprinkle is executive producer. Special thanks to curators Ken LaPatten and Judith Barr and educator Lilit Sadoyan. Catch you next time.